talk about the challenges within the medical device production industry, and yeah, we want to talk about how modern MES or MOM system can lead your production and assembly process, how you can realize paperless production, how you can make sure that you're really producing according to specification, and finally how you can achieve compliance. Yeah, let us shortly introduce ourselves. My name is Andreas Rudel. I'm working now for more than 20 years for iTAC in several roles, and right now I'm heading up the sales activities in the DACH region. So Oliver, maybe
Yeah.
you introduce yourself.
My name is Oliver Thelen. I work for iTAC now for about 12 years. The first 10 years I spent in the professional service department as a project leader and handling most of the time the medical customers. After that, I switched to the position that I'm now the interface between the project lead and the development systems to ensure that everything is developed properly.
Yeah, let's have first a look on our webinar series. As mentioned before, right now we want to talk about the MedTech processes, and yeah, I just want to announce our upcoming last webinar on 21st June, where we want to talk about flexible production. Yeah, and let's have a look on the agenda. So we want to talk today about the industry requirements, because you as a customer which is using our software, or probably maybe in the future is using our software, you have to fulfill several guidelines in this industry, and you have to fulfill the compliance requirements. So there we want to give you some hints, and for sure then we have also prepared a software demo. We made a special client or special user interface for a customer, and that we want to show today. And we want to show and talk about the key features which are realized in that client for the medical device industry. So DHR, e-signature, and so on, you name it. So the software is one part, but you have also to drive the whole project. So we want to talk about the remodel and the project phases, how you come to a running solution and a validated solution in your factory. And therefore we want also to talk about the agile and waterfall model. Then we want to summarize the benefits, and last but not least, you are invited to raise your questions during the webinar, and we try to answer every question at the end. And yeah, that's the agenda so far, and yeah, we are starting with the guidelines. Oliver.
Yeah, so let's start this webinar with the regulations and duties we have to face during such a project. Typically, the customers which come to us say that they need an FDA-approved project to fulfill all the legal terms that the FDA is giving them. The FDA is the Food and Drug Administration, which is located in the United States. It has more or less the most strict rules when it comes to this topic. When we take a look to Europe and Germany, we have here the institute also for the medicine and the pharmaceuticals, but they don't have specific rules regarding this topic. They put everything more or less to the European right. They have special laws there, the pharmaceutical and the medical products laws, but they don't really play a big role in the project that we do, because the FDA covers them also. The FDA created a guideline or instruction on how to process in such projects, which is called the CFR Part 11. Within this, everything is covered from how to produce and how to ensure that your process and your methods are fitting to their expectations. So it doesn't have any technical details. So it's really just for the process and the work mode that you're working in. The only part where the German or the European right is more strict is of course the data security. Yeah, when it comes to the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, when it comes to personalized data, not only with your final product where you may gather some data, but also during production. Yeah, that the workers and their personal knowledge or their personal data is secured. Besides those two, which I already mentioned, especially in Germany, we have a lot of guidelines or regulations called from the ISO Institute. We listed some here. That depends really much on the industry that you're currently working in. They are not legally bound, so it's more like really a guideline. But we have a lot of customers or suppliers that really intend you to produce due to these norms. Last but not least, also always or pretty often mentioned is the GMP, the good manufacturing practice. The good manufacturing practice is a guideline created on top of the CFR Part 11. Yeah, so it should give you the best methods on how to achieve a validated system at the end to be able to sell your products according to the FDA. It concentrates, for example, on something like how should I document a test script, or how do I make an audit with the supplier, which is also possible, or even the V model, which we come later to, on how to react with the system. There's a lot of regulation, a lot of laws, and we don't get too much into detail, but let me tell you that in the past we always matched all the expectations, and it's not impossible to fulfill them. Why they are doing it has just one big target, and this is, like always, patient security. Yeah. So when we come to patient security, we're already on the compliance requirements, and they're back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Oliver. Patient safety, patient security, I think that's the most important thing, because everybody which is as to go to an hospital, he wants to go out in an upright position, and so therefore we have to fulfill all these compliance requirements. So that means that is the driver for the increasing regularity pressure, and so that means every single step needs to be documented in the production, and we have to make sure that you're really producing according to specification, and finally that you have really compliance within the production. For sure, we are talking about the device master record, which is the base, which describes how it should be, and later on about the device history record, which describes how a product has been realized. For sure, other things like the 4 I's principle is important, and also the employee review is important. And if we go further here and have a look on the landscape, on the connectivity, as mentioned before, we get the master data from the upper level from the ERP system, or from SAP, could be SAP or another one. There we have the main information, like the part master, the work plan with the work step, the bill of material with all the materials in over certain structure levels, maybe tools, test adapters, and such things, and maybe also sometimes process parameter on the ERP level. So we have to integrate all this data into our iTAC.MOM.Suite. Then we have the different modules, traceability, material logistics, and quality management, and so on. So all these data are persistent in our system, in the database. And now is the question how to get these data down into the process. Therefore, we have an API service. So that means API means application programming interface. So you can imagine that are standard functions, and this standard function where we have more than 500, which are well documented in more than 2,600 pages, they can be arranged to specific integration workflows, or we can also say integration templates. And also important is that this API is release capable and release ready. That means we can here realize individual things for your production, and we are still release ready. And that works when we have an integration into an assembly line, or an electronic industry with our SMT service, an assembly line with our OPC UA service, for instance, where we are mapping the data, or what we want to show you right now on a specific user front end and specific HMI, which we have realized on REST base, on our REST API. So we have an HTML5 front end here. Though, yeah, we have prepared a video, have it recorded before, and now we want to demonstrate how a medical device assembly can run, can run in your company.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, let's have now look into the software. What we see here right now is a client for medical device assembly designed especially, and so I logged in already here as a user, and now I have to choose a capacity or a specific station where we want to work on, and I have already the relevant numbers in my clipboard here, and I have to choose the relevant station. And what we see here as well, we are using here right now the serialized mode for working with serial numbers. There's as well an information rework mode available, or only quantity based mode where you don't have to deal with serial numbers. So I start here the process in the client, and now I have to choose the material number. Also from the clipboard, the serial number, it's a 6082, and the revision.
Yeah. So in normal production, of course, this client is capable of handling a scanner. So the worker usually doesn't enter the numbers manually. He scans, or she scans the values from a barcode. And this whole client is based on or is developed for a mobile device. So it's usually completely used by touchscreen.
Yeah, and what you see here, we have also some widgets here where you get some work order information, some general information about the user and so on. And you see the work step information. So now we are on the work step 40. And you have here an area where you see additional information regarding the assembly instructions with text information, pictures, a video. So we can start here a video within the client. You could have documents, notes as well, and you see here in the right end the setup record area. So we go right now into the batch. The button is still green because we have made the setup before. So the relevant batches for the material numbers are in setup and are okay.
So when we go back to the main screen, this the colors are chosen in this client is wisely for the worker instructions, so for the worker guidance, so that the operator directly sees by the color indication where he has to do something. Yeah, when we, for example, take a look at the inspection steps, we see a little yellow light. We see that there's inspection steps need to be measured or need to be entered in the client. So we differ here in the measurement values between attributive and variable characteristics, and maybe
so we need to enter the data here. We start with the attributive value, and sorry, the description here is in German, but it doesn't matter, I guess. So we can here say it's passed or failed. So and we say here in that example this value is passed. Just clicking it and save it. So then color is switching. We do the same now for the variable value. Click in, and now here time needs to be entered, and I go here with 100 seconds, for instance.
Yeah. So also here that the worker is guided, being shown the lower and upper tolerances within which range the value is expected.
Yeah.
So now you see the overall status has also changed to green, and now we can exit here, or we can go to the next work step, and we want to go to the next work step.
The next work step on this part, first we are asked for the digital signature, for electronic signature, of course required for the validation part.
So
with this button of the next work step, we also close the one we are just working on.
So now this work step is closed, and we are here on the work step 50 right now.
Yeah. So maybe we just show the guidance, the overall work step list, that also the operator is able to open to see what happened already, and maybe also to switch back to previous work steps. And here we also see that the first 4 work steps have been successfully done, also with the same color indication of green. And the yellow one shows us that we're currently working on it. So we select now the 50 the work step and start it. Yeah, it was already started. And maybe now we switch to entering an exception in the system. This time we may choose the way to enter a measurement value out of tolerance here.
So therefore we just click here, and we say, for instance, here the behavior is bad, so the rotor is not working, and we choose failed here and say save. And now we have to confirm it, that it's really bad. And now you see here directly the exception. So we have the part number here, the possible defects, and I could register now an exception. Let's say it's general defect here.
Yeah. So we not just see the part number from our product that we're currently working on. We also see everything which is in the structure, within the bill of material, every material we choose. Because sometimes it's not the main part who's causing the problem, but it's maybe a spare part that we're using. After we now created the exception, you can see in the list below it was entered, and we have a lot of information to this exception already.
Yeah, what you can see here then as well, we have here the PQE and the QA flag. Where you see what the current status is regarding the process quality engineer and QA procedure.
Yeah. So in this project we had 2 quality gates which are named PQE and QA. So maybe now we take the time to switch to the mode for the worker who is working on the PQE.
Okay.
Yeah, so then we can also show the risk, cause, and action buttons, because they're available.
Okay.
So they don't have to be taken here from the operator directly. It can be done by a qualified person afterwards.
Yeah. We save the PQ message here, and again
make the electronic
signature. Yeah. Okay, it's done, and now we exit here this operation, and yeah, we choose now the next station where we can start the PQE mode, and therefore I have to go again to the clipboard.
Yeah. So within the system, it is registered which station is registered for which kind of work. So we know in the system behind that on this station only PQE people are going to work.
So I choose again the part number here, and so we can here differ between different priorities. So now only priority 1 exceptions will be shown, but I want to see all the exceptions, and yeah, takes a while. And if we now sort by the MASCL number, we see also the exception we have made right now, but it's directly here. It's the serial number 6802, and now I can click on, and I see the exceptions we have collected before with general defect, and we can now view the PQ message.
Yeah. So within the special view of the complete exception, we can also, for the single positions within this exception, we can assign different risks, causes, actions, and so on. So we just switched here now to the risk enter screen.
Yeah, and we just collect a minor risk here, and you could also here key in a reference number for ERP or SAP, and yeah, you can have a free text here for sure. I just click or key in test, and now I save the collected risk.
Yeah. So the reference for SAP is always important because we communicate with SAP forward and backward, also with the user's decision afterwards when we passed or declined the quality gates, so that SAP also has the direct feedback for this operation.
Yeah. Yeah, as well though, it's looking very similar if you're talking about causes and actions and so on. Let's say we are also collecting here a cause, for instance.
But important is here to mention that that again the worker is guided. Yeah, so he only gets to see the causes in the screen which are linked to this station and to this product. He cannot see other causes and cannot select other causes here.
Okay, now you see here the cause quality reagent is added, and yeah, now we confirm this exception here. Again, signature.
With the confirmation of this exception in the PQE mode, the first quality gate is passed.
So now okay, I did a mistake here. So now it's done. Okay, now let's go here on the right, and we see here the flag for the PQE.
Yeah.
Same behavior, or similar behavior would be also for QA mode.
Yeah,
as well.
we can. Yeah, so maybe we switch now to the station for the QA mode. Mm-hmm. So now this exception disappears from the list from the PQE mode, and would now appear on the screen for the QA mode. While Andreas is switching the modes, I can just tell that the QA mode, like Andreas said, is very similar to the PQE mode. It's just that the QA mode is only available for people with a higher restriction. Yeah, so we have complete skill metrics behind it, and user roles and security behind it, so that only the people who are really allowed and trained on special tasks are allowed to enter the valid screens at this point.
Yeah, now the QA mode, very similar. Material number is sorted by material number once again. Yeah, okay, and
yeah, so with the prior one, the models are shown which are ready to be released completely, yeah, so which are already done with the production. And we just, with our example here, we are not finished with the production, so it's not the prior one topic.
Yeah, and here we find the relevant serial number again, and now we will view the PQ message here.
Yeah, so now here we have, as you see with the red button and the green one, you see that we have now different options. Yeah, so we can either give it back to the PQE because we said, okay, no, it's what the PQE entered was not sufficient enough for making a decision on this part, or we can approve this this message.
What we will do right now, so that means we close the exception,
yeah,
and we have to confirm. No, not working. We have four eyes principle here right now. Okay, so I'm not allowed to close it. So it's a good example to show the four eyes principle.
Yeah. So because we're still logged in with the same user. Okay. So maybe just to say at the end, of course, also the QA could enter or edit here the actions, the measures, and everything for this product. But if this exception is approved by the QA, which needs to be somewhat different, then the product is released and can be sold to the customer.
Yeah, we hope you could get a good impression what could be done on the base of this powerful API service. And what we have seen here right now was just the tip of the iceberg, because there's much more functionality in this specific operator client. And yeah, we want to address now just the key features. So what we have for sure here is the user rights and roles which could be managed. We have seen the e-signature. What else, Oliver?
Yeah, so what we may have not seen directly is the complete personal qualification. The skill matrix is behind the user guidance, that you're only allowed to do actions which you are trained on, and everything which just completely runs in the background here.
Yeah, and we have the standardized processes. We have standardized interface to the shop floor, so on the operator client, and as well to the ERP interface. And quality gates. So we are talking about interlocking and digital poker-yoke. And so you can really make sure that you're doing the production according to specification.
Yeah, maybe also I concentrate just on the features which are in the background. So the audit trail. Yeah, so of course we have in the background, we collected all the data who has not only changed what and when for the device history record, we also collected who changed the specification on how we're working and on which term and which user was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and what we have seen as well, so we recorded some measurements, we recorded some attributes and behaviors, and for sure we did it with a clipboard to key in the data, but for sure you have a scanner connection in reality and also a printer connection, and the whole software is for sure available on mobile devices because it's based on HTML5 on REST basis, and so it's open.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. I think that's more or less is of course the deviation recording that we have the complete exceptions like we have shown in the client
the
demo.
PQE and the QA process, what we have seen. Yeah, that's the key features, and now we want to go to the V model, and now it's your time again.
Okay. Yeah. So now you have seen the final product of how we ended in one of our projects. The big question always is like, how did we get there? Yeah, and so like mentioned on the beginning, the GMP or GAMP describes the V model. Yeah, and I want to bring it a little closer to you. Okay, where it has the name you see on the screen, the V model will be read from the top left to the top right, and I will just shortly explain you the little bumpers. So every project, of course, starts with the user requirements. Yeah, you have to name us what you finally want to achieve. Yeah, so this is not only the technical part. Yeah, so it's also non-functional stuff like performance or usability of a client. Important and really important is that every of your user requirements needs to be testable. Yeah, so we have to get the chance in a validation afterwards to make a real test and have a expected result for each requirement. When we have finished the requirement, or usually we get it from the customers, we start with the functional specification. The functional specification describes the system architecture. It's described which hardware, which software is going to be used, what are the interfaces between the systems, and additionally, it has to record all the regulations from the FDA and the complete restrictions we have to fulfill, and those need to be named there. We can derive here, yes. So sometimes customers come to us and tell, okay, that they want to work out the functional specification. Sometimes we help them, and there are also projects where we do it completely on our own. When this one is finished, we go to the technical part, which is, it 100% is done by us. So here we go really in the technical detail. Yeah, so it means the software design, the function descriptions, the algorithms, and all the technical details that you need to fulfill everything which is described in the functional specification. This document then is the base for the developers. Yeah, so they get this document, they start the developing, and when they have developed their functions and everything, they create something which is called module tests or unit tests. You have to imagine this is just some tiny code which is checking the rest of the code. So every time our software is compiled, these unit tests run automatically to check for really major issues like a syntax error or yes, something missing in the code. When all of these unit tests have been performed successfully automatically, we start with the real validation process. The first step is the factory acceptance test, the FAT, which the name tells is that we test in the factory from our side in the software development. It's our office. We test the single components that we developed if they are working the way that we want it. Yeah, so it's a little deviation to the it's a little link to the design specification. This one will be then tested by us. So also the SAT and the UAT, like the FAT, they have to follow a strict testing specification and testing protocols that need to be created up in front. Also here, the same. Sometimes they're created by the customer, sometimes they're created by us. It's a negotiation thing during the project. After the FAT, we come to the SAT, the site acceptance test. Within the site acceptance test, we want to test the software and the complete process in the live conditions. Yeah, so in your environment, so in your plant. Yeah, so this that it's an integrational test that we also have the interfaces maybe to SAP or to a machine when it's needed. The final step is the user acceptance test, or the process qualification as it is called. Here we really let the worker, the final user of the software to the system. They check if the software is really capable of doing what it should do, what they expect, if it's user friendly, if it's performant and everything. So when we have finished the UAT, usually this is more or less for us the end of the project. But how this V model fits into our iTAC part of doing our projects will be now explained by Andreas.
Yeah, thank you, Oliver. Yeah, so the V model for sure is embedded in a classical project procedure model. So that means you have to have a specification. You need to know what you want to realize. Then when we go to development and customization, then that fits in also into the V model. For sure, we have certain milestones which must be fulfilled to go ahead. We have the qualification phase of the whole system, and finally the go live. That's one thing. And if we look here on the other side, on the lower end, we have the whole infrastructure to set up. So that means usually we have three stages. So we have a development system, we have a validation system, and finally a productive environment, productive system. For sure, it's not only the software. The users are important, that they know how the system is working. So the users and the key users need to be trained, and finally, shortly before go live, also the end users, the operators. And once the project has been set in operation, we hand over the whole project into our support. So because the whole system needs also to be supported, and we have seen before that we are talking about a standard system which needs to be upgraded. And yeah, if we go further, now we come to the different procedures here.
Yeah. The procedures on how we really construct a project, there are mainly two models which I would like to explain you. The older model, which was present very much in a complete society over the last year, was the so-called waterfall model, which describes that it's just a sequential way of working within the single steps within the project. This means that the analysis, when the analysis is finished, we can just start with the design. If the design is finished, we can start the implementation and so on. So it's really just a sequential way of working. Over the last years, the more agile way of handling the projects became bigger and bigger. And for example, we have it here with the Scrum framework, which I would like shortly to explain you. On the left side, we have the product backlog, which is more or less just the user requirements that you have given us from the beginning, maybe enriched with some user stories. Then we take this huge backlog, which is maybe, which goes really a long time, and we go to a sprint planning. So the sprint planning tells that we'd like to perform these complete actions in little tiny sprints. So that means a sprint is usually something like a 3-week time range. So we take with the complete team and decide what can we do from out the backlog within the next 3 weeks. Such a Scrum team not only is existing out of the developers which are inside, but it's also the Scrum Master is a part of it. Who this person is responsible for that the complete structure within this framework or this agile way of working is held, and he is responsible for making all the appointments and so on. Additionally to the Scrum team, there are the product owners. The product owners are usually one from the customer who really knows what the end result really should look like, or knows the processes of your company, and one of our experts. So the advantage here is that we just take a little piece of the big backlog, produce it within 3 weeks, and then go to a sprint review. So this gives the product owners the opportunity to check what has been done over the last 3 weeks, and then maybe even change a little the direction. So if we then see, okay, this is not going the direction that the customer wants, we can give this feedback back to the backlog and change it within the next sprint. So you have the possibility here to interact with the complete team during the development process. Just to fulfill this explanation, the sprint retrospective, which is here on top, is always made after the sprint review, to check with the complete Scrum team, has there something been bad, wrong? Can we improve something within the next sprint, which also help to afterwards increase the speed of the production. When we compare those two models, I have to say that both models have the right to exist. So the waterfall model, of course, is we always use it when the requirements is pretty clear. So it's really, we really know what the end result should look like. It's not that huge project, and we can design from the beginning really what we want to have at the end, because then we can save this little overhead which we have with the Scrum Master and the product owners. We can just produce. While on the other side, of course, the opportunities within the agile mode lies on the hand. So you can interact with the developers during the development process and can steer the development process in your needs. Also the agile is very good because it's very good in scalability. So if we see we have we're a little bit too slow, we can add a different Scrum team, or a third one or a fourth one. Depends on how much there is in the backlog left. Good. So when we come to the advantages and disadvantages of the system, we already on the summarize the benefits of everything that we have shown yet.
As you have seen, we can ensure full compliance with all the standards and requirements from ISO and FDA and so on. We have paperless or low paper production as well. What else do we have? What also was maybe not so good shown in the demonstration that we have is the device history record in the background. That we really can tell you when has the product been enriched by whom, on which station, with which values and so on. And also in the background, maybe to name it directly, what I also mentioned before was the audit trail, that we can check how the receipt and how the restriction, how to produce, was maybe changed by some people. And for sure we have the reduction of the compliance costs, because the software is very efficient, is very fast, and is guiding the PQEs and the QA process, and so it's also beneficial. And you get complete transparency about your production process in real time. So that means you know for every device, every machine, what's going on here, and what is the current status in the production, which issues are open maybe, and all the stuff around.
So when we come to the next point, the interlocking, or it goes hand in hand with the worker management or the worker guidance at this part. The worker is not capable with the software of maybe using materials that he should not use. He's guided on what he has to measure and so on, and how he has to measure it. So the ability to make faults is very drastically reduced in this part.
Yeah, and for sure you have the audit trails. You have all the data within the system, and you can easily generate the full audit trail about the system. And finally,
the ERP integration is maybe the biggest advantage for most of the customers. So we're not just talking about collecting from the SAP the bill of material, the work schedule, or the work orders. We also talk about the way back, the usage decision of the parts that they can be sold, and everything, even time recordings sometimes go back to the SAP.
Yeah, that would be, or that are the major benefits. And so now we are almost on the end. So we have just a Q&A session. And Oliver, let's see what questions have been raised by the audience. So first question is, how many of such projects did you already made? So do you have an idea how many projects?
Let me quickly count. So during my time as a project lead, I did, when we're just talking about plans and maybe projects, 6 or 7 I did personally, but I was just for Europe and especially Germany. So I would say something 8 up to 10 we already did. Yes,
I would agree. Up to 10, that should be correct. Okay, another question here in the chat. Which certification does iTAC have? Very interesting question when we talk about the medical device industry.
A question which we get very often. So that's why we put all the information also on our homepage, that everybody can take a look at iTAC.MOM.Suite to see what we are. I know that we're in the final steps of getting the TISAX certification. What else do we have?
Yeah, and we have the ISO 27001, which is also about data security, so we can really ensure to work proper with the data. So
no, the tablet.
We need to restart the tablet.
Let's see what the last question.
Let's see the last question. Also a good question. How long does such a project take from requirement to go live? Difficult to answer.
Okay.
Difficult.
The typical answer, it depends. So if we take such a really huge project like we have seen in our demonstration, I think it took way over a year. But you have to imagine that just the function description of the design specification was over 400 pages. The functional specifications was way over 1,000 pages. So this is nothing which you can just quickly do. Of course, we now have also new technologies available with low code and so on, so it could all be reduced maybe in time, but it's definitely not a sprint. It's it's a longer term that you need to finish such a project.
Yeah, that have been the questions in the chat right now. For sure, you can answer a question, you can raise questions also afterwards. We will answer properly for sure. And now we are almost on the end. Just to mention once again, we have our last webinar on June 21st, where we talk about the new possibilities regarding flexible production. And finally, we hope that you have some useful and beneficial takeaways for you, or that you got some beneficial takeaways. And we say thank you for your participation, and
thanks.
hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Okay, bye.